All right, so here it goes, fellas, right? This is written by a guy named Luke Bertheriton. He writes for the Washington Post. It's titled Taking a Knee Has Always Been a Sign of Reverence, Not Disrespect. Biblically and historically, genuflecting symbolizes a plea for a new relationship. See what I'm saying? So, like, the dude's kneeling, they're asking for a new relationship. They want to change. It says that he's most recently the author of Resurrecting Democracy, Faith, Citizenship, and the Politics of a Common Life. He's a professor of theology, ethics, and a senior fellow at the Canaan Institute for Ethics at Duke University. Bam. All right, so he talks about being in church, being raised Catholic, and how he had to kneel and everything like that, right? I kind of touched on that earlier, so I'll on my own, so I'll kind of skip that, right? So he says, kneeling as a sign of veneration is clearly not something Trump feels in his bones. In his disdain for kneeling to express devotion to something transcendent, he keeps company with some eminent pagans. The ancient philosophers Plutarch and Theophrastus considered kneeling to be an expression of superstition, while Aristotle viewed it as a barbaric behavior. Stick with me, okay? It's only a page and a half. I'm gonna get there. This country is many things, but not one thing is one thing it is not is pagan. Indeed, many of those who side with Trump claim an affiliation with Christianity, right? Everybody here can claim for that, especially you, Robert. And I see you rocking that chain with the cross on it. But like Kanye said, Jesus on the chain, you should know the rest. Yet, theologically, their criticism of football players could not be more wrong. The posture of the players is an act of faithfulness. Jesus kneels as part of the suffering and struggle he endures at the Gethsemane on the eve of his crucifixion, with his posture serving as a sign of anguish as well as a mark of his true faithfulness. Other New Testament stories describe people who kneel before Jesus' supplication or lament. With their kneeling, these biblical figures say something is desperately wrong. Please hear us and use your power to help us. So like I said before, if we three were to be kneeling, how would we three really be time, money, and whatever be able to change it? We can't, because I said it has to be someone higher. So that's all they're trying to do, right? Their act of submission, kneeling submission, signals their faith that healing will come and their prayers will be answered. So these guys are kneeling respectfully during the national anthem because they want healing and their prayers to be answered. So in this case, they want healing and they want a change of what's going on in our country, and they're trying to get that message across by kneeling during the national anthem. They do not mean any harm to anyone. They do not mean any disrespect to anyone or to the military, the flag, anything. Kneeling as a sign of faith or lament is echoed outside religious context. We see someone kneeling when proposing in marriage as a gesture of love and devotion. It is also a sign of supplication, a plea for a new and deeper kind of relationship. Athletes kneel when their coaches address them, asking them to take a knee. Here, kneeling can also signal that there is an emergency that takes precedence over everything else. So everyone must stop and pay attention. These guys are kneeling during the fucking national anthem because they want everybody to pay attention to what the message is that they have to put across to everyone. Often while those injured are attended to, people also kneel when people are injured and the medical staff is attending to them. For athletes, kneeling in protest echoes both these gestures. Like a hopeful fiance, they are inviting those they kneel before to enter a new kind of relationship, one built on mutual respect and recognition of the dignity and worth of black lives. Indeed, Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed decided on kneeling as an act of protest because, as Reed wrote in the New York Times, it's a respectful gesture. But this new relationship can be entered into only if everyone stops and pays attention to what is wrong. So like I said earlier, everybody immediately in the media tried to point out that this shit was disrespectful to everyone, which started dividing people. But as this states, it's a kind relationship. And they want people to stop and pay attention. Everybody did pay attention, but everybody paid attention for the wrong reason. They didn't pay attention to why the people were kneeling. You know what I'm saying? You say, well, I don't want to see that while I'm watching sports because to me, like, I don't want to see that, and that's disrespectful to the military, the flag, the country, and the song. We already know the song is disrespectful in its own way if you know the background of the song. But in that, you have to research the background of the song. So all they want is people to just pay attention to what they were trying to get across. But nobody was paying attention to that. They would rather point out everything else except for the reason that they were actually kneeling. Right? And to me, a lot of people on the news and everybody who's not in the news who had opinions on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever the fuck that were white, it's white privilege saying, well, do something about it. That's literally white privilege. You change it. You do something about it. You know, you put your money where your mouth is. Like, that, to me, is white privilege. One, you don't know what kind of place they're in, black folk. You know, we might get pulled over or harassed by the cops, but it's still, half the time, will not be as bad as what would happen is if a black folk got pulled over. This shit going along unexpected. But I'm just, you know, reading and then I'm preaching. For athletes, kneeling in protest echoes both these gestures. Like a hopeful fiance, they are inviting those they kneel before to enter a new kind of relationship, one built on mutual respect and recognition of the dignity and worth of black lives. But this new relationship can be entered into only if everyone stops and pays attention to what is wrong, ensuring that those who are injured or traumatized by institutional racism are cared for. To carry on as if nothing has happened, while fellow citizens writhe in pain, is callous. Failure to take a knee is an act of disrespect. Some complain that kneeling politicizes sports, yet playing the national anthem already does that. What the fuck have I been saying the last few times? Why the fuck are we playing the anthem during sports? In Great Britain, by way of contrast, their national anthem is not typically played at sporting events except for the games between nations where there is an obvious civic dimension. So I mentioned to my buddy at work fucking months and months ago, why do we even play it? This shit is narcissistic. We know what country we were fucking living in. In my opinion, the only time we should play the national anthem at a sporting event is if it's in the World Cup or we won a medal at the Olympics where there's other countries involved. So they hear our shit. Why do we need to hear our shit every fucking day? There's like, 20 basketball games a day, 20 baseball games a day. You got 17, 18 football games, whatever the fuck. And we're playing the damn national anthem every game. Why? Why? To sound the national anthem at a game is to code participation in that event, whether as a player or a fan, as a marker of citizenship. And citizenship is not just about a legal status and a set of rights, it is also an identity involving doing certain things to signal that one belongs, that one is part of we the people. The expected behaviors of the good citizen are marked by properties, habits, and rituals reiterated and enacted in contexts as diverse as the workplace, the town hall, and of course the football stadium. To perform well as a citizen, that is, to be recognized as a valued member of the body politic, involves the right posture to the right place. Man, I hope y'all been listening to this whole thing, man. I really do. I really hope you've been listening to this whole thing. Trump and his supporters are correct that kneeling is an uncommon and technical improper gesture in the presence of the American flag. But recalibrating democratic citizenship to address issues of racism entails, among many things, recalibrating what counts as good posture is a particular place. Kneeling is a good posture. Like I said before, they're not laying down, laughing, joking around while the shit's going on. And when the national anthem is played at a football stadium, when millions of American eyes are watching, that is a good place as any to challenge what counts as good posture in a country that promises liberty and justice for all, but too often delivers violence and subjugation to some. By kneeling before the traditional markers of citizenship, players such as Kaepernick and Reed raise the question of why citizens of color, despite the promise of equality, still live and die as lesser Americans. So again, they're kneeling out of respect and want everybody to pay attention to what they're doing because of this reason. But nobody is paying attention to them kneeling because of this reason. Everybody is paying attention to what the media says about it being disrespect to the military, the flag, and the country, and the song itself, which the song in itself is a fucking goddamn disgrace anyways. And I never had an idea about that it was a disgrace until months ago when I learned the background of that song. And that's why I'm trying to tell all of you to learn the background of our anthem. Y'all might be heated as fuck is what the fuck I'm saying. But research, research, research. Don't go off of what you already know. Learn something. The act of kneeling in a stadium during a national anthem is, therefore, an act of good citizenship, drawing on a rich Christian heritage and venerates a foundational and transcendent good of democracy, the rule of law, without the commitment that all be treated fairly before the law, whatever their color or creed. Democratic citizenship is meaningless. If anyone is showing respect and deference to the American tradition, it is the players who have the courage to call on America to be all that it dreams it is. The dude's Twitter is at West London Man. White man. He's a white dude. And his name is Luke Bretherton. Bretherton. And he's from Duke University. And he is the professor of theological ethics and senior fellow at the Kenan Institute for Ethics. So, I'm done now.